Hey, what's up, fellas? How you doing? Man, Antonelli here. Hey, what's going on, guys? How you doing? Man, Antonelli here. Today, we're talking about swing flaws. Before we do that, today's video is sponsored by Rocket Sports. Rocket makes top quality baseball gear and equipment. We use a bunch of their stuff with our Antonelli baseball teams. Go check them out. Click the link in the description box below. It's going to take you over to their site, give you 15% off of your order at Rocket. Okay, so let's talk about swing flaws for a second. In my opinion, in most cases, and this isn't every case, okay, but for most hitters, I think that a swing flaw eventually will end everyone's career, okay? Now, I know some players might get injured, some players might just play until they get too old and then their skills just diminish. But I think for a lot of players, for the majority of players, when it comes to the offensive side of the game, when it comes to hitting, a swing flaw or multiple swing flaws are what eventually end pretty much all hitters' careers. So the game continues to get tougher and tougher and tougher in all aspects, but let's just focus on hitting for a second. Hitting becomes harder and harder and harder as you move up in levels. The game continues to add more difficulty, more challenges as you get older. So when you're in Little League, right, let's just say you're very young, right, you're in Little League. The game is obviously much, much easier at that level than it's going to be as you get older, okay? So you can have more swing flaws at that level and still be successful. I've seen tons of hitters, I'm sure you've all seen hitters, right, that maybe have a lot of swing flaws at that level, but maybe they're just big, right? They're just a big 10, 11, or 12-year-old, right? They're just a strong kid. They're just an athletic kid. And although they may have swing flaws, the difficulty of the game is not high enough yet to expose those swing flaws. So you could have a bad swing and still get a lot of hits. You could be really successful. And we've all seen that a lot, right? Player just matures faster than other players, might not have a great swing, but is successful, okay? And you'll see it the other way too. You'll see some players that have great swings, but maybe they're just this big and they're just so small and so weak that they have a great swing. They don't have a whole lot of flaws, but they haven't physically matured yet, and so maybe they don't dominate that level. But eventually those players mature, and now they have a really good swing to go with the mature body, and all of a sudden those players oftentimes become great players, all right? But let's get back to the swing flaws again for a second. As that player that has swing flaws, right, as they get older, eventually they're going to come to a level where the difficulty has been raised enough that it exposes those swing flaws, okay? And maybe that's after Little League. Maybe it's, 13, 14, 15-year-old baseball. Maybe it's high school baseball. Maybe it's college baseball, right? Maybe it's professional baseball. Maybe it's Major League Baseball. At some point, every hitter, almost every hitter, right, 99% of hitters get to a level where the difficulty has now progressed high enough that it exposes their swing flaws. Maybe it's the velocity. Maybe it's a breaking ball. Maybe it's the ability to change speeds. Whatever it is, again, as you move up in levels, the pitching is going to get better and better and better and better. And so my point to this is, one, when you look at major league hitters, in my opinion, and again, I know I talk about this a lot, do they have certain gifts that allow them, are they big? Are they strong? Do they have great vision? Do they, all these things, hand-eye and all this? Yes, I think they're gifted players, obviously, but it's their swings. If you hit in the big leagues, if you're a big league hitter, and especially someone that can stay in the big leagues, well, then most guys probably have a swing that doesn't have a whole lot of flaws. They might have some, but they don't have flaws that are big enough to be exposed, in my opinion, okay? So one thing is, watch what the best are doing. Watch what the best hitters are doing. Study the guys that have had success for a long time in the big leagues, and see how they're moving their body. What are they doing? What does their path look like? Because those are going to give you some clues into what a good swing should look like, all right? So when you're watching the Barry Bondses and the Manny Ramirez and the Albert Pujols, especially back in his Cardinal days, when you're watching those guys, start to look and see, okay, what are the common threads here between all these players? These players, yes, they're big and they're strong and all this stuff, but there's plenty of big and strong players that can't last in the big leagues, right? So their swings are allowing them to be successful. That's one thing, okay? The second thing is you need to look early in your career and start to figure out your swing and start to look at, okay, what am I doing? Do I have any issues with my swing? Do I have any swing flaws? You need to start to learn your own swing. So it's about learning the swing, right? What kind of swing will help me be successful? And then it's about self-evaluating, looking at your swing, understanding your swing and saying, okay, now what is my swing doing? Do I have any flaws? How can I take some of these things that I've seen from other successful players and how do I put that into my swing? Okay, really, really important. I talk to our players all the time about the importance of being your own best hitting coach. You need to learn your swing. What do you do that makes you successful? Or what are you doing that's making you unsuccessful? And then how do we work on that? How do we change that? How do we get rid of some of those swing flaws? I think that is vitally, vitally important. I talk a lot about my career and my experience. I was always a player that hit at pretty much all levels. I hit when I was in Little League and in Babe Ruth, and I hit in high school, I hit in college, and I hit in pro ball until I didn't. I got to a year in 2008 for the first time in my life, I struggled. The problem was I didn't know why I was struggling. I wasn't sure what my swing flaws were at that time. And not only that, I didn't know what I was doing prior. All those successful years, I didn't know what I was doing that was making me successful. I just knew that I could hit until I didn't. Now, how do you get back to being successful if you don't know what made you successful? It's really, really tough. Impossible, pretty much, right? So here I was in 2008, struggling, and I had to try to figure out what am I doing wrong and what was I doing right? And it's hard. At that point, I was about 22, 23 years old. It's hard to figure that stuff out when you just don't know, right? And so I struggled for a while. And even when I started to figure out what some of my swing flaws were, they always would find a way to kind of creep back in. And again, there's other things that go along with this, right? Injuries have something to do with it with some players, right? If you can't stay healthy, you can't practice a lot and you can't work on correcting some of those flaws. So that's a part of it. And everyone has their own little thing, I'm sure, that makes it difficult. It's not always just swing flaws. But I know for me, the main part, why I couldn't have a long, successful career, was it came down to swing flaws again, right? I got to a level, I created some swing flaws that those were not going to work at the level I was at. I was at the major league level, and it wasn't going to fly. And until I correct those swing flaws on a consistent basis, it's going to end my career. It eventually ended my career. And so, again, that level's different for everyone. It might not be the major league level, might be high school, might be college, might be younger than that. Learn your swing, become your best coach, become your own hitting coach. Make sure you're looking to see what the best players do. That's why in our videos we try to put the best players and show what they're doing, what are those common threads, so that you can learn that and then get to work, so that hopefully you don't ever get to a level where your swing flaws cause you to not be able to progress and play anymore. And if it does happen, you get to a high level, right? The highest level possible that you can get to, okay? Hopefully you don't have that happen to you at a level where you're like, man, if only I knew my swing better, if only I knew what the swing consisted of better, I could have played at the next level, a higher level than where I played at, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below. Make sure you check out our other videos. Go into our hitting playlist and start to learn some of the things that we talk about. I think it would really help you out. And that's all we got. Thanks so much for watching. We'll talk to you later.